My name's Nathan Hickey. I'm 37 years old. I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Came all the way from the Windy City in the United States. I went to Southern Illinois University at Carbondale and received my Bachelor of Science degree in marketing with an emphasis in finance. I spent the last 15 years of my career doing institutional lending and capital management. Currently, I'm working with contracts for emerging markets, and actually one of the reasons I was in Medellin was to look at properties while I was down there, because I'm working on behalf of somebody who's buying property in Mexico as well. So I ended up running into him, and he was on kind of the same path. So that's my story. Casper wanted me to be here because of my experience with lending and looking at properties and things like that around the world and helping people decide whether or not they're good investments. Let's get started with what this project is all about. This word here, inspirar, I want you to remember it, okay? Keep it in your mind because it's very central focus of what we're trying to do here, okay? What we want to provide is a unique and authentic way to experience the Paisa culture, okay? For those of you who are not familiar with Paisa, the word, what it is a unique culture to Medellin, Colombia, okay? The culture is about family, it's about hospitality. It's about a certain way of living that is very unique to Medellin. Our mission statement with Inspirar is very, very simple. We seek to foster wellness and a sanctuary for explorers and travelers alike in peaceful, quiet, and beautiful surroundings in the Medellin area. It's our goal to become a place where lifelong friendships between people from all over the world are made. We want to be a place where an epicenter where people from everywhere can come and learn together and make friendships and forge bonds that will last them the rest of their lives. Because that's what life is about. It's about meeting people and learning and growing, okay? One of the questions that people ask when I was talking to them in the States about this is, well, you know, we go to Mexico and we go to Florida, but why would we go to Colombia? And having come back from there, the answer was quite simple. First and foremost, there's been a rapid increase in the culture of tourism and ecotourism in Colombia. Because people from the US and Canada are now seeing that as a viable place to spend their money, they're coming down in droves, and it's bringing an explosion of capital to the country of Colombia. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is the tourist culture of Colombia. Okay, folks, Colombia is listed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, much like the Pyramids of Giza, the Great Wall of China, or Machu Picchu. The reason that is because the very first town that was colonialized by the Spanish is in Colombia. It's Santa Marta, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's what makes it a World Heritage Site. Because it's a World Heritage Site, they get additional benefits to help their tourism industry from the United Nations and from other global entities that want to foster tourism, okay? In 2006, there were roughly around 1.9 million visitors that came through Colombia, okay? Since then, they've had almost a 300% growth explosion to today. So if you do those numbers, that's roughly around 6 million, 7 million people that are coming in now. That's quite a jump in just that small little amount of time. And there's a few reasons for that. 70% of those people coming through Colombia are doing so solely for tourism. In 2017, they recorded $5.9 billion of revenue in US dollars from tourism alone. I think we'd all agree that is a lot of money for a country of that size to bring in. The tax incentive for growth has caused Colombia to expect to see 13 to 15% growth over the next 30 years. So that is going to increase every year, 13 to 15%. Experts suggest, and it will probably expect. There are currently 82 air routes operating from 28 different countries right now flying into Colombia. So what once was a faraway destination, because globally we've gotten so much closer, the airline industries have opened up, and now there are flights coming from all over the world bringing people in. This year, Colombia is expected to bring in $6 billion US in revenue from tourism, okay? So it's always steady growth, and what we're seeing in that hemisphere right now. The next question that people always ask, and the people that I've talked to in the US is, okay, well, you've told us about Colombia, but what makes Medellin special? The thing that makes it so special for me, and the thing that makes it so special for the people that I think have been there, is the weather. They have rarely, if ever, recorded a temperature above 31 degrees Celsius, and they've rarely, if ever, recorded a temperature below 18 or 17 degrees Celsius. What that means is it is perpetually beautiful out every day. Fresh flowers, fresh fruit, all year round, and perfect weather in the daytime, and at night it's as beautiful as can be. Some of the awards that Medellin have won lately are very important. In 2013, the Urban Land Institute awarded them the most innovative city in the world. This is due to the money and the time and the effort that they put into their infrastructure, their telecommunications, and their mass transportation. They were also awarded in 2013 the most preferred corporate business destination. That award means that companies from all over the world now are choosing Medellin to send their employees for corporate retreats, for their corporate conventions, and for their incentive awards. All right, the next thing that I'd like to speak a little bit about is immersion learning. So what immersion learning is basically diving in head first into a subject and surrounding yourself with it, because you're going to take more out of the experience, and it's going to be ingrained more for future use through that experience, okay? A big one is immersion language learning and immersion Spanish schools, okay? Right now, immersion language training is the fastest growing sector of tourism in all of Latin America, okay? Just on curriculum, tourists spent $12 million just on that. That is not including their stay, that's not including their airfare or anything like that. That was just for the books and the classes alone. Now, the average course cost in Medellin is between $185 and $235 for the actual curriculum and course. Not to mention, you can learn in 4 weeks through that program when it would take you 2 years to learn in a classroom taught through public schools in the United States. So it makes sense for people to go down there and do that. And that's why we're seeing such an uptick in the Spanish immersion programs. Another interesting fact is that of the people that come back from Colombia for Spanish immersion, they have an 80% satisfied or very satisfied opinion about their experience, okay? So what that means is 8 out of 10 people thought that going there and doing that was a good experience and they would recommend it. Folks, if you have a business and 8 out of 10 of your customers are satisfied, you have a great business. But folks, what Casper's trying to do, what we're trying to do, is we're trying to inspire people. We're trying to inspire people to learn, because we know that people that are educated have a better quality of life and oftentimes have a better quality of income as well. We want to inspire people to grow. We know that getting outside of your normal day-to-day and seeing new things and experiencing new experiences is what makes the soul grow. It's what makes you feel good, okay? We also want to inspire to give back. Casper's made a commitment to the people of Medellin that when he starts this business down there, he's going to help the people through charitable contributions, charitable giving, and being an actual part of this beautiful thing down there for many, many years. And the last thing is we want to inspire to help people. Inspirar, as a concept, will not only employ the people of Medellin, but it will bring the dollars in. It will create lifelong relationships between Casper, between the people of Medellin, between the fine folks that come to stay at Inspirar Hostel, okay? If we can do all of that, I think we've done a good thing for the world, and I think that's okay, isn't it?
So welcome to Miguel Holmesy, and yeah, he brought his sweet wife. I'm very happy to have you for that as well.
Thank you.
They got here all the way from Colombia just for this. And they have been almost as busy as I have been the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe more. Actually, it's 5, I guess. Like, and then doing stuff for me in Colombia, getting numbers for costs of everything, pretty much like for wood cabins, for everything that I need to know the prices are, so I could make the business case and make the budget and stuff like that.
Thank you very much, Casper. Good evening to everybody here. It's a pleasure to be in Denmark. I still can't believe that my wife and I are here. We met Casper a few months ago. It seems like we've known each other for a very long time. But really we got to know each other quickly and intensely because Casper found me with a plan, a program, an interest, a desire to have a special project happen in Colombia. And I was more than pleased to be part of it. And I've been up until now working very diligently along with my wife, who Casper left us with a big homework assignment. So my wife has been busy looking for prices of sheets and towels and pillows and washers and dryers and beds and all kinds of things. We've gone with architects, and Casper will get onto it later on in the evening to explain exactly where he is with his project. Nate touched upon tourism, and I'll briefly mention tourism as I get more into the real estate concept, but tourism is a very, very important point as it relates to Colombia. And I'm glad that Nate spent some time with it, because I cannot begin to tell you what is happening right now in the world of tourism in Colombia. It's very hard to have the impact hit you, but some of Nate's numbers are very impressive. And really, the times of Pablo Escobar and the times of showing bombings and planes falling out of the air and kidnappings, that's way, way over. My cousins on my father's side are scared, even to this day, to go to Colombia. And I'm trying to explain to them, things are very, very different. Don't get caught up in a 30 or 40-year-old history loop. That's over. Those days are long gone. If it were different, I would be telling you, but we live there. It's a safe country. Medellin is a safe city. And really the statistics show that New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, parts of Washington, East Los Angeles are much worse, are much more dangerous statistically right now than Colombia, than any city in Colombia. Colombia has become a relatively safe country. So as we look at growth in the tourism sector of Colombia, what I've done as research, and Nate has come up with basically the same conclusions, we find something super interesting. Really, I never looked at it this way, but Colombia's tourism growth is higher than the average in all of South America, which right now sits at about 5.7%, which is better than the global average of 4.7%. So Colombia is already higher than all of Latin America and pretty much the average around the world. Colombia is now labeled as one of the top 10 fastest growing markets, and Nate has touched upon that. I would venture to guess, with the numbers that I've been researching and seeing over the last few months, that it could be in the top 5. It could be well into the top 5 in global tourism growth. So we're talking a huge, huge thing going on, a huge phenomenon. Nate also mentioned, and there's a whole bunch of different airlines that have popped up in the last 3 to 5 years, KLM, Avianca, Delta, and Aeromexica, to name just a few. But as Nate's slide mentioned, there's a lot of, dozens of now airlines connecting directly into the Colombian market. Something amazing happened this year, and I couldn't believe it. Every year, the New York Times publishes a list of the 52 best places to travel for that year. They've done this every year for a long time. So I get a phone call and I get an email just a day or two after this. Was February 4th, 2018. And when I went in to look, I almost fell down. I really couldn't believe it. I don't know if you have realized that, but so as I mentioned, the list came out February 4th. Number 2, Colombia. Colombia, number 2. And they did not pick a city in Colombia. They decided that the entire country was worth visiting. The entire country.
That's great.
And number 3. This is number 3. This is huge. You can't imagine, because of the 52 places on this list, every local newspaper from that city and from that country published this article. This went all over the world. So what we've seen with the statistics from Nate, what we've seen, which is this growth of over 5.7%. Nate mentioned 13 to 15%. I would venture to guess that we're talking 20, 30, 40, and 50% growth. I saw one statistic that said that some mid-year of 2017 was growing at 55% over the same period of 2016. And that's before this announcement this February. So travel tourism in Colombia is going to get crazy. Okay, I'm going to jump over to some statistics in Medellin specifically. I think Nate covered a couple of them. There's approximately 2.8, almost 3 million people. The population is almost 3 million. Visitors, I think Nate touched on 4.2 million. That's up from 540,000 in 2002. That means that we have grown 800% in 15 years. It was very small and now it's huge and getting bigger each and every month.
So that's the house, just a little one. That is 3,000 square meters and built in buildings. But first we're gonna see some of the pictures of the place, because I want to inspire you. I will try to see if I can inspire you and get the same feeling I'm having about this place and the opportunities here. So that's how it is, like very rustic, very nice. And that's a balcony. It has 7 or 8 balconies, I think, around the house. And all of these balconies are very nice. You can put up hammocks, and that's also how we're gonna do it. Like the way we're gonna do like the price levels on this place, it's gonna be add-ons. So I'm gonna do advertising saying that you can go to this great place, and the cheapest you can go there for is like $8, about that, American dollars, to stay in a hammock. And then that sounds cheap. And then everything's gonna be add-ons. Everything's going to be add-ons, and everything's going to be a little bit more expensive because it's out there. It's a full immersion place. You have everything. I'm going to walk you through the business ideas at this place. Because lots of people, when they do a hostel, they just do a hostel. And actually lots of places, they have like most of the staff is volunteers and just one paid manager and stuff like that, and they're still making money. But I want to make something way bigger than that. And the numbers is allowing me to pay the investors very good and pay charity as well. The goal is to be able to fit 100 people in this place when we open the doors. And I don't want to have 100 guests, not at all. But I want to be able to change rooms so nobody have like lots of places that have like, it's just easier to manage. And then I can have like, the staff can stay there if they want. I wanna provide the staff, like give them good money. I'm gonna pay 50% more than they're getting paid in average. The labor is so cheap, but it's still the most cost thing about running the place. So that's very good, because I can scale it up. Just for having that huge place, the cost for like tax, electricity, and water is not even like considerable. It's definitely like in the numbers, and it's there because it's a detail, but it's just a little detail. It's so cheap. And that's the view from the buildings where I'm gonna do the Spanish school and the salsa lessons. So I got a swimming pool, I got a sauna at this place, and just 12 minutes away from this place, there's a natural spring, there's a natural water resort, and it's not even known by foreigners. It's only for local people right now, and it's just 12 minutes from there. A huge area with springs and waterfalls and stuff like that where you can swim. I want to make a place where you can get everything. So I'm gonna create so one of the businesses is the hostel. And that's a good business as well. And then we have like the Spanish school, which is about 60% of the revenue at the place, because that's where the money is. Yeah, and then we got like the food 24/7, a kitchen providing like healthy organic food. But I want to make like a healthy cultural place where it's good all the way around. And then I have like handpicked managers for each different business, because that's how I'm gonna do it, because I'm not an expert in Spanish. I'm not an expert in most of these things, but I have handpicked experts for all of these areas. So they're gonna be put in charge of it, build it up, and then I'm gonna run that. I'm gonna run the business doing that with managers. The strength about doing this business is the expenses. It's very, very cheap. The labor is very cheap. It's like, for like in general, the average amount of money I have to pay for one guy for a month will be 3,000 Danish crowns. And that's how much is that? Like about $500, I would imagine, yeah. That expense is still like 90% of my expenses. That's what I'm saying. So I can go up, hire more people, and go down if it's not going that well. So I can begin slowly and build it up. Some of the big weaknesses about doing it in this country and in this area is the currency fluctuation. That means that the currency is going up and down. And the currency in Colombia is tied up on the oil. So that's how we have to be managing that very, very professional. I have to make sure. That's why when I pay out investors, it's going to be each third month. So we can try to avoid losing some percentages on that one. And then there's the cultural differences. For an example, like a month ago, there was a girl and she drank a mate. And mate is a very traditional drink in Brazil, Brazil, yeah. So it's a very, very traditional drink. And we had some fun, so we put some sugar in it. And she didn't speak for us like for 3 days, because like we thought it was tea without sugar, you know? But it wasn't, it was a mate. So that's why like I got like for lawyer and real estate jobs and like stuff like that, I prefer to have Americans or something where the cultural barrier isn't that big. So the lawyers that are working on the project in Colombia, it's called Langdon, and it's an American company that is operating internationally. And we want to expand the concept. Is this going to go well? The idea is to expand it. Santa Fe, Nate has an idea about Mexico. Maybe we're gonna join that one. Do some synergy. But now we're focusing on this place, and we want to do. Hostel is a tough one, because like a hostel and places like that, they charge a lot. If you want to be the number one, they can charge you 25% of just like the amount they pay. That's insane. That's if you're a business in Denmark and making 25% in profit, that's pretty good. So they're taking all of that if you want to be on the top. So we will try to avoid that, be doing advertising in Europe and Western countries. And we're gonna also, I got a guy, and it's already planned that he's gonna travel around for a half year in Colombia, make deals with other hostels, so they recommend us. And I got ideas like that. I could keep going on like that. And then another opportunity is, like I said, become a charitable foundation. But that's something the lawyers have to figure out, because it has to be legal. And we are still a business. I'm gonna give, the investors are getting 10% of the profit each month while invested. And that amount of money is getting, it's the exact same amount of money. When I've paid all the investors out, and I'm gonna take that amount and invest it in organization. So they can inspire some people to get jobs and educate, and yeah, that's the dream. And then there will be the competitors, and that's definitely a problem. But the tourists that are coming in now is just raising. So that's So for example, like Spanish schools, I tried to book it when I was there. I couldn't find a place in Medellin, and there's not like Spanish immersion places around. It's like kind of new idea we have. But they're all booked, they're all filled out, and yeah, so you have to wait at least 1 month to get into a school like that. And some of them are very, very, very expensive. So if you're interested in this project, right now the lawyers are working on papers that will, if we don't buy the whole property, and we're gonna pay it off in 3 years, like Miguel told us about, then they're gonna do legal paperwork. So if we won't be able to pay the house off, so we will be shut down, for an example, then those papers will do that the money that is already paid into the property will get paid back. But my business, not the one you're investing in, but the holding business, that's a structure. But I would be able to lose $80,000. 400,000. If it just got shut down the first day because the lawyer's gonna do the legal stuff, so the deal with the house owner right now will be cancelled and the money will be transferred back, and I will have to pay for all the costs about that. So that's how we can protect that asset. I want to say thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Have been a great day. Thanks.